History remembers the headlines, but we find the bylines. This is the unsung. As the world plunged into the chaos of the Second World War, a battle was being fought not just on the front lines, but in the labs and hospitals far from the fighting. The challenge was immense: how to get life-saving blood to wounded soldiers quickly and safely. Whole blood was precious, but perishable, lasting only a week under refrigeration. This logistical nightmare meant that for many, help would arrive too late. The solution to this critical problem would come from a man fighting his own two-front war. One against the limits of medical science, and another against the deep-seated prejudice of his time. His name was Dr. Charles Drew, born in Washington, D.C. in 1904. Charles Richard Drew was a gifted athlete and a brilliant student. His path to medicine wasn't easy. After graduating from Amherst College, he was denied entry into American medical schools because he was black. Undeterred, he attended McGill University in Montreal, Canada, where he excelled, finishing second in his class. It was during his residency that he began to study under Dr. John Beattie, a visiting professor from London, sparking a fascination with blood transfusions and the urgent problems of blood storage. This was the beginning of a journey that would change modern medicine. His passion led him to Columbia University in New York for his doctoral research. The year was 1938. The medical community was grappling with how to handle blood. Drew's work focused not on whole blood but on its components. Specifically, he investigated plasma, the liquid portion of blood left after the red and white cells are removed. Plasma was a game changer. It didn't need to be matched to a patient's blood type, and crucially, it could be stored for much longer than whole blood. It could be dried, shipped across oceans, and then reconstituted with sterile water right on the battlefield to treat soldiers suffering from shock. Drew's doctoral thesis, Bent Blood, was a masterpiece of methodical research. He systematically tested every variable: temperature, anticoagulants, storage containers, and shipping methods. He developed protocols for separating plasma from whole blood and techniques for preserving it. He proved that plasma was not just a substitute for whole blood in emergencies, but in many cases, a more effective and practical treatment for shock, the primary killer of soldiers on the battlefield. His work wasn't just a paper. It was a blueprint for saving millions of lives. In 1940, as the Battle of Britain raged, the need for this technology became terrifyingly real. London was under constant bombardment, and British blood supplies were desperately low. A plea for help went out across the Atlantic. An initiative called Blood for Britain was launched, and who was the one person with the expertise to lead this unprecedented medical effort? Dr. Charles Drew. He was appointed the medical director. Working out of Presbyterian Hospital in New York, Drew put his research into practice on a massive scale. He organized the collection of blood from over 15,000 donors, oversaw its processing into plasma, and ensured it was rigorously tested for safety. He established a central blood bank, a model of efficiency and high standards that had never been seen before. The plasma he prepared was shipped to England, where it saved countless lives, both civilian and military. The Blood for Britain project was a resounding success, a triumph of science and logistics, all orchestrated by Dr. Drew. His success was undeniable. When the United States prepared to enter the war, the American Red Cross and the National Research Council knew exactly who they needed to lead their own national blood banking program. In 1941, Dr. Charles Drew was appointed the first ever director of the American Red Cross Blood Bank. He was tasked with creating a nationwide system to supply blood and plasma for the U.S. military. He standardized procedures for collection and processing, creating the model that is still in many ways used today. But just as he reached the pinnacle of his profession, he came face to face with the ugly reality of institutional racism. The U.S. military issued a directive that the blood of black donors was not to be collected for the armed forces plasma program. It was a policy based on pure prejudice, with absolutely no scientific basis. Drew, the world's foremost expert on the subject, knew that blood is blood. There's no racial difference in plasma. He was outraged. He protested vehemently, calling the policy unscientific and insulting. He argued that segregating blood would create a logistical nightmare and, more importantly, was a stain on the nation's moral character. He wrote, "The blood of an individual is one of the most personal things he has." It is a sad commentary that we should have to be splitting hairs over whose blood is whose. When our soldiers are dying, under pressure, the military and Red Cross slightly altered their policy. They would accept blood from black donors, but it had to be segregated from the blood of white donors. For Dr. Drew, this was no victory. It was a compromise with ignorance that he could not accept. The principle was what mattered. In a profound act of moral courage, he resigned from his position as director of the American Red Cross Blood Bank. He chose to sacrifice the most prestigious post of his career rather than endorse a policy rooted in racial prejudice. After his resignation, Dr. Drew returned to his alma mater, Howard University, as a professor of surgery and chief of surgery at Freedman's Hospital. He became a legendary teacher and a mentor to a new generation of black surgeons. He trained more black doctors who became certified by the American Board of Surgery than anyone else in the country. He affectionately called them his boys, and he instilled in them a commitment to excellence and a refusal to accept limitations. His impact as an educator was just as profound as his scientific breakthroughs. Tragically, Dr. Charles Drew's life was cut short. In 1950, at the age of just 45, he was killed in a car accident while driving to a medical conference. The man who had saved countless lives through his work on blood transfusion bled to death. For years, a myth persisted that he was denied a transfusion at a whites-only hospital, a cruel irony that seemed to fit the narrative of his life. While this has been disproven, the doctors at the nearby hospital did everything they could to save him. The persistence of the myth speaks to the deep wounds of the era he fought so hard to change. Dr. Charles Drew's legacy is twofold. He was a scientific genius whose innovations in blood banking revolutionized medicine and saved millions. But he was also a man of unshakable moral conviction who stood up against injustice at the peak of his career. He proved that one's character is defined not just by what you create, but by what you refuse to accept. His life is a powerful reminder that the fight for progress is often fought on many fronts at once. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Unsung. If you believe stories like Dr. Drew's need to be told, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more hidden histories.